There we are. Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. I am pleased to welcome a returning guest presenter, clinical nutritionist and health educator, Karen Masterson Koch, and the founder of Aloe, and has been here in the health and beauty industry for over 30 years.
Yeah, wow.
Yes, which is fantastic. Lots of expertise to share tonight. And we carry 17 of Aloe's amazing products here at Marlene's Market and Deli. Karen has also written many articles and several books, all with supportive clinical findings and research. So I think that the value of you learning today here with us about digestive health in more detail, which you can actually get in her book, Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, which is the gluten inflammatory syndrome, which addresses symptoms that you may not have associated with digestive issues or irritable bowel syndrome. But we are here today to learn more on how to take proactive steps to feel better and feel good again. So let's give a warm welcome to Karen Masterson Koch.
Well, thank you so much and welcome. I'm so happy that you could be with us tonight and learning about health. I mean, I keep learning some new things to, just really put into this knowledge about this human body that we have. And honestly, I mean, today is truly the first day of the rest of a healthier life. I mean, we get to choose every day what we do to have self-care. And once we know the truth, right? And we know that it connects with, feeling better, then it's great to be our own best detective. The presentation today is the most important presentation, truly. And I do many different ones on weight loss, on fatigue, on mental illness, and feeling good again with our mind and body, and so many others, healthy children, and what's really cool is this is the book for all of that and more, of really not only what I have found in my own practice, friends, but also the research. So the first 4 chapters is totally researched around the world. It's not just right here in the United States, which is important. We've done a lot of health research, beautiful. You can always go to PubMed.gov and see all the hundreds of studies on B-complex and different nutrients, core nutrients, along with aloe, which is they're shortcuts back to wellness, and we get them from foods. So what I love is many of the pieces of research are documented in different handouts that Aloe Life has created, because we're not just the #1 aloe, on the planet. We are the health educators, okay? With my background being in immunology, friends, I have definitely found that people are not taking care of their digestion. They're not taking care of their body, and they treat it like a computer. So I hope that you will take some notes. Some of you might have more knowledge in gut health than others, but we tend to almost fill in the missing parts with just kind of like undocumented, like connections. A equals B, and really A equals C, and B actually is that unknown, like what leaky gut is. So today we're going to answer, I hope, a lot of questions. I do hope that you have health goals for yourself, your family, your friends, reasons for being here. You might even have your own counseling, business. We don't know. But again, questions at the end, you can ask me on any type of question, including what we're covering tonight. Also, with your health goals, I suggest when I'm counseling people, which I have counseled hundreds of people in 4 different clinics before I came full-time with Aloe Life, where it gave me the platform to actually keep really researching health and helping wonderful health food stores like Marlene's and hundreds of others around the country to really understand the wonderful products they have, because a lot of people do not get formal training or are from an industry where you have the research. So it's great to be able to share and be a voice for that in our wonderful, wonderful challenge and also our industry of health. We're human beings, we're not computers, friends. So be your own health detective. Also, write down what you're eating, supplements you might be taking. And so when I mention something that you'll be able to go like really experiment as a detective, not using the gelatin capsules in your vitamins. What's in the actual supplement, the multiple, the B complex, or what have you, is exactly what you need, I believe. However, that encapsulation, the carrier, can be extremely inflammatory and cause you a lot of grief. And so often people haven't made that discovery for themselves. So again, the presentation is the part one of a very important topic, as I mentioned. And what is gluten inflammatory syndrome? What is it? I have actually coined it in my book, the gluten inflammatory syndrome, because it's not just eating oats or wheat or fiber. It's actually many different triggers that affect our digestion and affect our health. And we want to know what they are, right? We want to know what they are to some degree. Your handout that Elizabeth will be mailing out is really a great piece. It's two-sided, and it will go through the gut gluten symptoms. I just lost my lighting. Oh, here it came back. But gut gluten symptoms, and it's really easy. So if you just, aren't following a certain panel or topic, it's listed, the different symptoms, the gas, the bloating, the mouth blisters, and advanced celiac, depression. I mentioned mental illness. Oh yeah. So inflammation of the brain, it can be herpes too, which is herpes simplex associated to that particular condition, but also early Alzheimer's. So there's a pinwheel of inflammation, and we'll be covering each one of them real briefly, because we only have 45 minutes. And that's why the Q&A. And then you can always send an email to myself at info@alolife.com, info@alolife.com. Any questions? We have a whole team of people that have their own testimonies about getting gut healthy again and all the wonderful, how they feel good again. And that's really what it's all about. And so it's a two-sider. I think it's really well done because we don't want to just impress you. We want to teach the truth, and so you can apply it to your lives and truly feel the difference. For myself, it was actually having more energy. My skin looked much younger. I was starting to get rosacea, and that really went away. And in my family, my children had skin conditions, and so much that I didn't understand that oatmeal and brown rice is not gluten-free, okay, because of the fiber. So again, there's a lot more to the gluten inflammatory syndrome that most people know at this time or don't know. So we're going to take the mystery out of it. And the second panel really asks, why do 9 out of 10 people feel better? Well, world athletes like Novak Djokovic from Serbia, he's a top tennis player. And recently he's in the news because of some competition here in the US. But he has actually taken 6 Grand Slams in his history of playing tennis. And he attributes his ability to going gluten-free. So it's not just for children and adults and people that are really obviously sick with a lot of different conditions that are linked to bowel disease, like diverticulitis and celiac and Crohn's. But many athletes that I have now worked with, top woman athlete, Monica Brandt, she went lower gluten and got on the protocol that I recommend with Aloe. And she went out and competed in the UK and took the #1 prize in contour. I mean, she's, so, just to be able to have a happier life, less pain, look your best and feel your best. And 9 out of 10 people, because it's a human condition, It's not just for sick people. Okay, I used to think it was just the other people, the patients. No, it was me too. I realized that our whole family had had dairy intolerance. So again, with that in mind, we're all human, I think. I don't think there's anybody from Planet Zoom Zoom. And so we all have this human condition. And what prevents healthy digestive system? Okay, a healthy digestive system is so important because not only does research from Tufts Medical Center and Mayo Clinic and Maryland University, who's done the best longevity study, all say it really matters what you eat. And the Mediterranean diet seems to be the #1 diet. It's a real variety. It's not a mono diet. It's not a vegan diet. It's the Mediterranean diet. And so we're not always eating foods. People skip foods, okay? The Tufts Medical University 30-year study said people are skipping foods. So you've got to eat food to fuel the body and to give it the building material to build the brain and the digestive systems and the bones and to create energy. So protein is #1, and many people undereat in protein. Also, because of that, they don't build digestive enzymes or hormones. Okay, and all the glands start going down, and that's not even talking about having intolerances, lower ability to digest your food. So it's what you eat, but Tufts found it was low hydrochloric acid, not in the stomach, which you need to break down protein, to break it down, and minerals too. Minerals actually are catalysts in the body besides building strong bones and teeth, and help the little valves in your digestive tract actually open and close. Muscles. So we need to have food. We need to have a variety of food, and we need to be able to digest it with hydrochloric acid. And if you're taking some little notes, a lack of B complex is why we don't secrete our own hydrochloric acid. That is really important to break down these bigger compounds, proteins and minerals. Okay. Excuse me. Third is too many pharmaceutical drugs. The average 60-year-old person is taking 6 pharmaceutical drugs. So every pharmaceutical drug, and that's whether it's for mental wellness or for your skin, Accutane, or just antibiotics. We know that we need to replenish the friendly bacteria, but for blood pressure, which is real common now, and cortisone medicines for bowel disease, all of them can be helpful temporarily, but we don't have drug deficiencies. We have a lot of nutritional ones, and they actually steal nutrients. So what Tufts' large study showed is that 77,000 doctors and nurses, if they would eat proper foods or take supplements, the core that we talk about that are from our foods, our B complex, our C, our A, our EFAs, and minerals, and have the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, they would give these people suggestions. And if they added the HCl, and I don't know how many of them took aloe, but that's a shortcut because it's an herbal bitter. It gets the flow of HCl in the stomach and reduced drugs they didn't need anymore. They would reduce the diseases that these 77,000 people had developed. So it was a cause and effect, the best study ever, and Tufts continues to do studies. And as we will go through the list of what people do as far as eating their foods, it's crazy that people even feel as well as they do. However, a study that was done in 2020 by the Gilead's Public Health on the East Coast, they tested about almost 9,000 people randomly, and they found, honestly, because people had been abusing their bodies, eating too many carbos, pizza, ice cream, just too much fried foods, and with the COVID, but still it's been this downward trajectory in the health of, unfortunately, of our American people and other countries as well. Other developed countries have the same amount of disease just about as we do. That it was, actually, I just got myself a little sidetracked. That there's only about 14% of our USA citizens that are checking out metabolically healthy. That means it's almost 70%, about, well, 76% of our Americans are not healthy. And that's what we want to change. We want to change with education. We hopefully you will share this not only with yourself and really applying what we'll be reviewing with yourself, but to note that if you don't feel well today, you've got a lot of company. Yes, you got a lot of company. Every level, there's 70% obesity in our country right now, with 20% children. And that heavier weight slows all the metabolism down. So we're going to show that it's not just for getting your digestion if you're having heartburn or pain in your stomach, lots of gas, fast transit diarrhea, or constipation. Not only getting that back into balance and working well again, but also that will affect your liver. Your liver's going to get healthier. And that really is what the experts are pointing to, is lazy liver, even a non-alcoholic cirrhosis of the liver of younger and younger people, and glycation, the whole body just stopping. And it's really a travesty. And that's where applying these basics, cover the basics, friends. We're finding people are eating too fast if they're eating their food. And I'm guilty. I used to do that. I've slowed way down, and I sit down and I relax. So relaxing at meals is extremely important. Don't eat when you're upset. But it does tend to play with the blood sugar, and then you can get hungry, and that's okay. You know, maybe drink some herb tea, but try to calm down so you can have the flow of your digestive juices flowing, your pepsin and your HCl in your stomach. And then to have bile start coming from your liver. Okay, we got to get the liver healthy, so that's exercise. Okay, and drinking enough water. Because some of you might know this, that we're 70% water, and that's why it's important to drink a couple of glasses in the morning, perhaps put lemon or lime in it, or your aloe, that herbal bitter, to just really help the body start hydrating. And if water makes you a little nauseated, the aloe will help you absorb the water. It's got over 50 trace minerals when you use the Aloe Life, because we don't over refine it. And so it helps, like lemon or lime, to actually absorb the water deeper into and get the brain hydrated so you can think. And the whole body, you think you need caffeine, you need to hydrate, and then you're going to have the energy come up as well. So the number one disease in the country is anemia. So if you feel fatigued, okay, and you get in the habit of just using caffeine, nothing wrong in a cup or two of caffeine, but it's what you put in it. So drinking large quantities of liquids at mealtimes, that's not when we want to do it, because it dilutes digestive enzyme. And ice cold beverage, it's a habit, but it really freezes up the digestive system. So these are very simple. But if you are addicted to ice cold beverages, you know, it's going to just be new. That's all. I mean, it's been winter, so who wants to drink ice cold beverages anyway right now? But sodas and alcohol and milk. Milk is definitely a trigger that can cause a lot of grief in your stomach, and definitely all the symptoms we're talking about today. So eating high sugary, fried, and starchy meals depletes the body. So what do we need to do? We need to be kind, self-care, and feed it these 91 nutrients. That's how many it takes, because one of those are probiotics. Most people, especially if you've taken antibiotics, need to replenish the friendly bacteria, as you will see, because the small intestine is where the friendly bacteria is part of our immune system. And we need that. We need that. It's not where the immune system is built. It's built in the bone marrow. And vitamin E and aloe is stellar to build your immunity. It's like such a wonderful gift of nature, friends. And then nutritional deficiencies and illness, GIS and others, are what you want to understand is, and we've already covered that, again, use responsible medication, but definitely just about everything that is not quite right in the body will be improved with nutrition. Brainwashing that influences our food and lifestyle important too, because I was making up my own rules. I was thinking, oh no, you know, whole grains build a whole body. So I was teaching the lie. And now I spent the last 20 years, you know, just, you know, confessing my sins, you know, that we were wrong. The fiber is the worst, and that's where there's more autoimmune disease and more gut issues with vegans, unless they're raw foodists. I mean, you can be a healthy vegan, but it takes a lot of sprouts and a lot of juicing. And I just loved food too much to go vegan anymore. I tried it, and that's where I really started feeling just very deficient. The first theory in the book is theory 1: improper sugar metabolism leads to bowel disease. And friends, as I mentioned a little bit, bowel disease can be silent. Yeah, kids that have advanced Crohn's or celiac, where you really are sensitive to every part of the whole wheat, but other grains as well, and those gelatin capsules as well, die early. Yeah, there's been many children today, we have just as many children living with bowel disease as we do adults. And you just want to know the truth so you can make a correction. Okay, make a correction. So it's the improper ability for the digestion to actually break the bonds of protein and carbohydrate in these grains. And there's been a lot of research that showed separation of them mechanically, and then having humans actually take the carbohydrate from the grain, no problem, no inflammation, and take the protein, same thing. But when they're still in that invisible molecular structure, it's hard to digest. And when it goes from the stomach, not digested, into the small intestine, which you'll see a little quick picture of the GI tract, that's where the immune system attacks, and it injures the tissue. And you'll see a quick picture of that too, a close-up of our villi. That's lines are, right around 12 feet of small intestine. And it's got all these little straws, and so the way digestion is supposed to work, and the book actually goes through digestion. So you can actually have like a Health 101 anatomy class and biology of how it works. And it's cool. You don't have to know everything, but it's once you know that this body works on a healthy digestive system and having the minerals absorbed so it can close and open, then you're not going to have the esophageal burning. You're not going to be having the acid, the acid that actually overproduces after the food's gone. Yeah, irritation actually comes up and burns the esophagus. I mean, you're not going to have that when things are working right. And you're going to be able to have good bowel movements, healthy elimination of the body, and then the liver is healthy. And when you got a healthy liver, you're going to feel so much better. And it's just a process that I'll give you the shortcuts. So it's refined sugar as a disaccharide, refined sugar like in cane sugar. And it doesn't matter if it's organic or not, it's a disaccharide. So you want to really get the sugar down for all the reasons. It's an empty calorie, so it steals B complex to metabolize, which leaves you deficient. And then all the organs, all the endocrine system ceases to work because the B complex is the happy vitamin, but also every system needs it. Okay, it's the worker vitamin behind every system. And so then the same is true for cow's milk. Cow's milk is a disaccharide. So it's hard to separate that molecule. And then we talked about the whole grains already, and that it includes oats as well as brown rice. So really the Chinese were right, and white rice, it's just the fish makes up for the B complex, and the greens, you get B complex and vitamin E. So that's where carbohydrates serve a purpose. There's a whole book written, Potatoes Are Prozac. So when you have enough of your red potato or your yam or your white rice in your diet, you actually sleep better. Yeah, there's like a really interesting process that happens for sleep, and maybe we'll cover that, in a future presentation, but the book goes into it. And that's the beautiful thing. If you are having sleep challenges, it really helps you to understand the melatonin and, just that whole sleep cycle. But carbohydrates have a place, and quinoa can be a real nice substitute. It's not inflammatory like the oats and the other grains, and you can sprout it too. And there's a whole section on sprouting and making your own bread. I mean, it's like, if you really love bread, which who doesn't, my grown daughter makes her own bread, which is really fun. So what we just covered, friends, is quite a bit of material. As you can see already, that the GI tract is so important, because if we don't have our food, we're going to die. Okay, I think we know that. But people act like it doesn't, sustain us, like it's not our fuel, but it is. Okay, it's a fuel for this car. And we need to, the work we do today, the food we eat today becomes our body tomorrow. Okay, if we digest it. So the progression of disease is, first of all, okay, if we're eating dairy, a lot of dairy, and I'll tell you one of the most challenging things, because I've grown up in the health food stores. I have. I was a hippie, and so I was making my own yogurt, and it wasn't that good, but it was out of cow's milk and all of that, and just really feeling just that I was doing the right thing, but giving up yogurt was hard. That was hard. But I was so dairy intolerant from my mom, and we didn't recognize it, that her diverticulitis and her resections that she had to have in her bowel came back to a real advanced dairy allergy, and it's common. Cow's milk is for cows, okay? Mother's milk is for babies, right? But almond milk or other substitute milk, cashew milk, or lactate milk, if you can drink that, which is pre-digested, really works, friends. And then getting your minerals from broccoli and vegetables. I mean, take a mineral supplement, but people were never, ever designed to ingest cow's milk. But when we do have these triggers, autoimmune response, okay, it actually is not digested. And so in the gut, we get this attack on the molecule, and that causes inflammation, and it actually is reactive. And so the tissue is actually hurt in the small intestine, and that causes, we're supposed to absorb the nutrients in the small intestine, and then it goes into the bloodstream that circulates around the body and into the liver. The liver is a part of the digestive system, and that's another reason it's so damaging when the liver is not working, okay? A lack of vitamin E, with everything we have to deal with in this environment, toxicity and EMFs lower our vitamin E. So I always start people that come to us for direction on the Aloe and E, and in just 1 month, immunity is enhanced greatly. So that's like a super bonus. Number two, all the glands need vitamin E, and we need a tremendous amount with all the over 3,000 satellites circling this planet now that really do emit electromagnetic fields. Okay, so we are like one integrated circuit that runs on electricity, each cell in our body. So electricity is part of how we are able to mobilize the entire body. Okay, so we have to put fuel in, including minerals. So all the cells need essential fatty acids to absorb the fuel as well. So you're starting to see where aloe works with all of these core nutrients to absorb them better. All the research, there's lots of research on aloe that shows not only HCl starts flowing so we can digest and absorb, but we need to absorb our core nutrients. But the damage happens through the autoimmune response for undigested carbohydrate protein molecules that are still they're microscopic, but they're still in a form that elicits our attack. And then that causes damage. And then we're not absorbing our core nutrients, the ones we're talking about. Core nutrients we die without, okay? One cell at a time, I say, and then all of a sudden you wind up with cancer and you go, wow, where did this come from? Well, it's because when you have malnutrition, you might be eating all the right foods. But what happens if you're loaded up with skin issues, you're not absorbing, okay? So we're going to cover the symptoms, but then, we're kind of going over, how it works, how the inflammation works, and then disease development, dis-ease, okay? A lack of ease, a lack of health. And we've been talking about the 22 feet of digestive, the GI tract from the mouth to the rectum. And so we were talking about the damage. Here's the small intestine. So there's about 11 to 12 feet of intestine. So you've got the stomach, And then that starts secreting into right behind this. This is the large intestine right here. Whoop, 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 and then out. If you're lucky, over 50% of our population is constipated. And then there's about 30% with fast transit. And that comes from the inflammation in the bowel and then what we're eating. Okay, if you're not eating enough of beans and celery and carrots and apples and all the other fibers in the vegetables, I say 50% raw, 50% cooked. And then your proteins, you need to target about 50 grams to 60 to 70 grams when you're more active. And it's definitely growing. I mean, some growing children, over 15, they're growing so fast, you need 60, 70 grams and they're not getting it. And so then their jaws don't grow enough because cells are made by protein. And then they might not be absorbing because they're eating so much sugar and milk and Wheaties. I mean, I felt out of body when I was eating a Raisin Bran growing up. I was floating above my body. I was just like having issues in learning because I was eating the triggers and I didn't know until I started studying this as an adult. Okay, so looking back, I love school, just was underperforming for a long time. This man, Dr. Fasano, he was actually paid to do more work on celiac disease back in 2003, and boom, the beautiful thing about his work, he found, wow, there's so much more celiac going on because it's not been diagnosed properly. So if you feel like you fit into the category of advanced bowel disease, which is not just IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, you have gas and you have symptoms and you might have fatigue and bloating and such and some constipation and things that we've talked about. But the advanced means you might even be so irritated, like ulcerative colitis, that your large intestine, so the small comes first and then it goes into the large intestine, has ulcers in it, ulcerative colitis, and it causes sores to open, infection, and then you can have pocketed polyps that hold infection. And that's where you get into the ultra, what's it called? I can't think. It's where you have so much infection in these pockets and it grows bacteria that you really feel badly. You start having brain fog.
Is it diverticulitis?
Ask me again.
Is it diverticulitis?
Yes.
Okay.
So you are so right. Diverticulitis, and then there's a condition that because we start getting so much infection, so much infection in the bowel, that it actually grows bacteria. And then we have Candida albicans, which is also like a fungus that grows if we're constipated. So that's where so much bad bacteria can form in these pockets that in the big book, it teaches you that you can use a Kalima board and you can allow those pockets to drain, and all this infection actually drains out. And I've had many people just say, oh, it was just putrefaction. And then they felt better the next day. Get it? Can you only imagine? So again, this man really helped because before this time, IBS and IBD was actually considered a psychotic event, that you weren't given the proper care, and doctors today still don't understand it. They'll say, eat oatmeal, and it's like, oh no. And, things are somewhat better in knowledge, but we have like a major epidemic of disease because they're not taught. But the diagnosis changed from psychological to physical. And so it now has become an appropriate disease and treated better. But their go-to is cortisone, which eventually will cause osteoporosis. So this is the molecular structure, a little bit out of line with how we're talking. I just do my best, friends. I'm not sure why we can't see the top part. Maybe it'll come through, but it's, let's see, it's a sticky, it's just reminding you again, it's a sticky compound that needs to have proper digestion. And that's really, again, not enzymes. And it's like, there's a place for enzymes, friends, but it's really get your hydrochloric flowing first, and definitely Aloe is the best for that, Aloe Life, because there's a big difference in aloe products, and there's some that really don't, they're not a bitter. Okay. And so, and then after you've gotten the vitamin E working, so that helps all your glands. See, vitamin E turns on your glands. And I prefer in my book, liquid vitamin E's when people are really not absorbing well, and it just starts getting the whole body back functioning. You'll get the energy, and then B12 and B complex. So again, I know Marlene's has all these supplements, which are great, including the Aloe Life. And so you can just get, it's not expensive to get these core nutrients started with the aloe. And again, a lot less than going to get counseling outside of a health food store, which can be thousands of dollars, friends, hundreds and thousands of dollars. I mean, they used to charge $120 an hour to just see me, and that was 40 years ago. So you can do this. You can definitely take your health to another level with the book, Beyond Gluten Intolerance. It addresses in chapter 4 the false negatives. So again, in testing from the blood, it will often give you a negative to gluten. And sometimes people aren't eating gluten, so there's really no reaction. They're actually looking in the blood. It's just a blood test that they're looking for these inflammatory proteins. That's what they are. But why? And it's explained. It's really explained, but to try to explain it to a doctor, I mean, I had a doctor throw my book into the trash once. But most doctors actually go, oh, for me? But Karen, do you really believe that it's possible to reverse disease? I'm like, yeah, I was crying at that. You know, he had been my GP at Kaiser, HMO. And, you know, I just felt so sad that he didn't understand that the body does reverse diseases, the symptoms tamper down. There's no cure. There's no cure for disease. What it is you start applying the different nutrients the body needs. Okay. So those 91 nutrients in foods, and then the cores that we're talking about today, essential fats as well, lower inflammation and allows the renewal of cells to regrow at record time. But the false negatives come from the lazy liver, because liver makes specialized proteins. Okay, so that's just, you know, a lot that I could share with you, but we have to eat the 8 essential amino acids, and then we can make hundreds of specialized proteins, not just the ones that we mentioned for digestion and hormones and antibodies for our immune system. Okay, that's how important protein is. But this is inflammatory proteins. They're not being made, and that's why they're not showing it. But you have all the symptoms, you got gluten. Okay, you got gluten intolerance because it's a human condition, friend. Yeah, they can see in the stool. One of the other common symptoms is oils are not being digested properly because the liver is lazy, it makes bile, and the pancreas isn't working, and that makes lipase. So once you get them working again, I mean, you get all the benefits. It's so cool. Just like I'm talking about, is that you start making better digestive enzymes in the pancreas and insulin. So we have so many people that call us and go, oh my gosh, my blood sugar's coming back down into normal. Could it be taking your aloe? It's like, yeah, if you're not doing anything else, because it has the trace minerals. It's not a cure. It's just giving the body what it needed so it would then make the insulin. And that's what's really, really fun to share with you. Of course, tissue biopsy can confirm. Sometimes children just are not absorbing at all. They're having hyperactivity. They're having many other challenges. There's a whole chapter on children's health, which is excellent, really excellent research about autism spectrum disorder. It's not anything really even in the environment. And yes, it could be vaccines can be damaging, you know, it talks all about vaccine, but it's the mother being unhealthy. You got to be a healthy mother so that you have healthy children and you can, you know, have milk and all that with the nutrients and stuff, but detoxify first. So it really gives a lot of pointers on that. There's a whole chapter on animals as well as healthy kids and all of that. So it's really cool, hands-on nutrition and diet book, but also what you need to know to really live healthy in the 21st century. Okay. And I know that there's a sample book at Marlene's. You can take a peek at it or go on Amazon and order it, Beyond Gluten Intolerance, GIS, and you'll have that handout from Elizabeth, which is neat. And here we are. Here's our villi. We just want to take a peek at how pretty they are when they're healthy and ready to absorb all the chyme. It's called chyme when after it's supposed to be healthy digestion. So you need to do your work and chew your food well. And then you can use some water or herb tea, something warm. But it's better not to use black tea, believe it or not, unless you're just sipping on a little bit, because it has some anti-nutrients. There's some other anti-nutrients besides gluten that there's a list in the book, like titanic acid. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Or, sometimes the phytates in some of the greens can be problematic, but for the most part, eat all the vegetables you want, But anyway, when the villi are absorbing down into these areas, like a straw, and then they carry it into the liver, as I said. But here's a blunted. This is from all the damage. And you see, this is leaky gut. Here we go. What's leaky gut? It's when the villi fingers have been actually just damaged so much that there's a big hole right here. And then you start getting a lot more reactions. You get blisters. You get these bubble blisters coming on the skin, hepatiformis. It's a list here. And you will feel like brain fog. You won't feel well. Fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome. That's what I was thinking of before, chronic fatigue syndrome. And there can be viral complications as well, just because the immune system is now going down. And that's where you can, I know the researchers, friends, I've been doing this so long, and 40 years, and the Aloe life for 33 years, 32 and a half. And Dr. Yagi in Japan is amazing. And he's done the work. He said, Karen, the growth factor in the aloe helps them to grow back. It could take, up to 3 to 6 months. But the cool thing is 5 minutes. That's what I had such a beautiful experience with Aloe Life, just the energy right away. It was just like I needed that help to absorb my breakfast. And then to 45 days, you're going to see significant improvement in your health and lowering inflammation. There's over 25 natural phytonutrients. So allergy, inflammation, diarrhea, hemorrhoids, mucus, abdominal pain, nausea, constipation, gas and bloating are the main symptoms in the IBS. And then we've been talking more also about even stunted growth when you get into advanced bowel disease, inflammatory bowel disease. Children can come into the world having a lot of issues because the mother, this whole mother's not eating well, will give birth to children that are allergic to many, many things, including gluten. And what, again, that's in the book, so we don't have time to go into it, but it's great. It gives suggestions, formulas. You just have to be proactive. Advanced inflammation, stunted growth, though, for children, and bruising. And again, always needing braces. It's like, yeah. It's not the way the body was designed. And getting sick, oh my gosh, the pediatricians think it's normal to have kids get sick every month. No. So ulcerative colitis and fistulas around the rectum, really sore. It's really sad because there's so much pain and suffering with the advanced and the resections, losing parts of your bowel, even getting the whole bowel taken out. I mean, so it's like a scary movie. And if you're going through that, again, you can feel well again, okay, wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. But, and we've just covered just about everything, the fatigue from not absorbing iron properly, and Flora iron. I love that product, the liquid Flora with the iron, and because it's all from food, it's a good product. Skin challenges, poor skeletal and hormonal development, lots of allergies. If you don't know what to say, I'm having allergies. No, you're eating too much sugar and you're not enough vitamin C to close up the connective tissue, okay? But yeah, the pollens right now, vitamin C and Aloe Life are amazing to really help to kick the allergies away out of your life, and really start making better choices, as we're talking about more about skin. We're going to go into this more in the summer, but the mouth blisters, I get that if I'm eating too spicy of foods, which is just shows it's not who is and who's not. It's just what degree is your GIS, your gluten inflammatory syndrome, body ulcers. But I feel good. That's neat if I follow my own advice, okay, which I do most of the time. Body ulcers, we talked about herpes simplex because it's part of the inflammatory cascade. And that's what you'll see, the last picture of the pinwheel of all the different triggers. There's 12 categories will cause the almost 100% of our people have herpes simplex, either one or two or both. And it doesn't mean that you always get a sore, okay? It's fatigue. It's like, why, when I ate that really spicy Mexican food, why am I so exhausted right now? Well, take an L-lysine, which balances out the arginine, and I love taking a greens. I mean, Aloe Life makes an excellent greens, the daily greens. I think you've had it before, Elizabeth, but it's, you know, certified organic now, and it's just really wonderful. But it helps the pH. So pH is also a trigger to allow this herpes to get active, and then it is actually just part of, like, if you're eating, say some bread, okay, just by itself, you know, no big deal. But if you're eating it with some like chili jam or something spicy, or spicy meat or whatever on it, you could then start getting that trigger of the herpes simplex, even not having a sore, and your fatigue. So it's like understanding that it's a human condition now. You know, occasionally we might see people not having it, but even sores that won't heal sometimes have herpes simplex inside it. It's just on the nerve fiber, and so that's why it can travel just so easily. And you know, so it's a challenge. And then dry, chapped, flaky skin. There's over 21 skin conditions that are related to autoimmune. And the beautiful thing is that just plugging in, you know, these shortcuts can really help you get rebalance. It helps the body rebalance so it doesn't have these symptoms, friends. And acne, scarring, it's just a very sad thing. But you'll see that aloe actually has growth factor, and just using it every day, the skin gel by Aloe Life and the lotion, amazing for troubled skin. You can see it going back into smooth, beautiful, youthful. Hey, I can't see the scars anymore. It's just wonderful. And then the vitiligo, I get that white patches, and that means B12 deficiencies, but I take it every day, you know, and it's water soluble. And so I think the people that are afraid of supplementing, you know, are hurting themselves, and they can't take advantage of it because it's just extensions of food. So even a little helps a little, but making sure that you get replenished, because our stores get depleted in not only proteins that we can store in glycogen, but also vitamins, vitamin A and D. You know, we can store them to a certain extent, fat solubles, and even E, but when we get depleted, then what happened, you know? And so often we'll get sick. So dermatitis, this is that blistering situation. And that was one of our staff, you know, had that at Aloe Life. And she goes, well, I'm going to just keep eating Wheaties because it reminds, or Cheerios, because it reminds me of how happy I was when I was just a little girl. And it's just like, oh my God, and she's such a wonderful person. But you could see that her bizarre behavior, you know, would really not even match up. You know, she was always drama, you know, her emotions always drama. And then, you know, I've worked with mental illness, and honestly, friends, you know, it's just like working with a split personality. But a lot of it comes back to blood sugar, which once you start getting the pancreas built up, and then acknowledge that you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours, most psychoses really resolve themselves. If you start plugging in these nutrients, Aloe Life is the only company that's done a wound study that really showed on every level that it's a superior concentrated topical. And that's why it works so well. We don't over filter or overheat our products. So it really has all these different 100 actives along with growth factor, which is fun. And it's a fun line. And the research, 3,500 different pieces of research. It's really, 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 really wonderful. You can see before and after using the skin gel, no more burns. The guy was out on the beach running, and athletes that injure themselves or lift kettlebells, you know, just painful, now not painful. And you know, a skin cancer lesion grew back after this woman had had it taken off, and then just using the skin gel. I was really impressed, because I have to get occasionally spots burned off. So always do what's needed. skin cancer and lung cancer are the number ones, but it takes 10 to 20 years for it to develop. And that's why it's so important to understand that not only ulcerative colitis research, where it shows aloe intervention really caused, all of the patients to have remarkable higher quality of life and less problematic symptoms. But, and there we go, inflammation. It should be just light pink. And you can see how, ulcers breaking through. And that really leaves places that can really turn into cancers, when you get enough of that irritation and not enough nutrition. And so it's not an accident that people with bowel disease actually have a higher incidence of all diseases, friends. And so that's where, be proactive, take action in your body today. This is all the immunity, 100 studies that show aloe can be significant for immunity. I had patients that reversed their symptoms of cancer. That's what changed my life. I mean, it's really real, but heat destroys it. So Aloe Life only has flash heat, and we have to do extra testing for the FDA. And so again, why does it work? Because the polysaccharide actually in the right amounts, high levels for human immunity attack the macrophages like Pac-Man. So whether it's virus, bacteria, or even fungus, which can happen now with all the rain and the snow that you guys have had, us too, and California and the whole country. So now we need to brace, and we've had many beautiful stories where people were even hospitalized with black mold or even MRSA staph. Just remarkable that really unresponsive to antibiotics actually drank our products and actually were back feeling good again. And I have a real good industry friend that's gone through this, and he just gave in and said, okay, I'll just take antibiotics. He now is on about his 6th month of antibiotics. And it's just like, friends, it's scary because there comes a point where the body gets weak and not responsive. And good doctors have said, look, let your yeast infections heal on their own. And the beautiful thing is using our personal gel, has really just done the trick for so many women. So all of the product line, no matter what you're dealing with, friends, it's just so much fun. It's such a fun. These is just some more just beautiful stories about cholesterol, lowering your negative cholesterol in your liver, and really helps with cardiovascular conditions, lowering all of your risk factors. This is for periodontal. Incredible. You can brush your teeth with skin gel. Yes, you can. It's a first aid gel, from top to bottom and inside and out. And here's the final beautiful pinwheel of all the triggers that we really want to be aware of. We know that there's a lot of toxicity in our environment, soft metals, and it really helps you to detoxify. We have our advanced formula. The Aloe Gold is amazing. The best buy, because there's 25 pounds of leaves in every bottle. So it really helps all these systems work. And because of that, you get rid of the waste that you're supposed to, just the divine design, and along with soft metals. And I'm excited because I'm going to be testing again for soft metals. And because we're working with a health coach right now with Aloe Life, she's really been a nice addition. If you need a referral, but I know that Elizabeth does some nice support too. But to get these toxins out of the body, okay, not only get the renewal back from damage that we all can be living with, extra waste in our system, our lymphatics. We have our advanced formula, the Detox Plus 2, which is fabulous, like a 1-2, like the gold first. We have flavors for people who really have a finickiness to the gold, but it's great. It's like tomato juice. It's not watery with a little bit of a bite. That's the bitter that turns on the hydrochloric acid. But we've talked about the triggers today, the main ones, the dairy, the sugar, I use honey. I mean, it's a monosaccharide. It doesn't cause inflammation. I use fruit instead of going to any kind, and bananas with almond milk instead of any kind of ice cream. And my husband can't take chocolate. He turns into a zombie. I mean, you talk mental illness. It's like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, who are you? I don't know you. Serious. So again, manic depressant can be really scary, and schizophrenia, blood sugar is one, but there can actually be a swelling that takes place on some of these inflammatory foods because of herpes or whatnot. But, be the best detective you can be. Keep your food diary of what you're doing. And just these are our main, we do have genetics in the mix. 10% from our father and mother, biological parents, that can cause more tendency for more advanced inflammation, more tendency. But it comes back to, because of the genetic code, we were actually born with a liver that's not quite as healthy. So the beautiful thing is that now science has actually proven that you can change your genetics. I know you know this, Elizabeth. It's so incredible. I mean, they used to think the earth was flat. It's not flat. It's a beautiful, beautiful blue planet, friends. And first of all, take care of yourself, environment, and then do the best you can to keep your outside environment clean of plastics and all. There's a whole chapter on toxicity, but it's a good chapter because it helps you to be aware that babies come into the world with, toxicity, and we all live with it. But aloe is a detoxifier. It's such an incredible first aid product. You can see why I say it truly is number one. I'm so happy that I was working in AIDS and discovered it. I was a naysayer. I didn't believe that it could really change people's lives, but all of my patients' lab work improved and they all felt better, more energy. I did right away. And all the doctors were all like having an aloe party. Oh my gosh, it really does do what the researchers were saying. And then aloe came onto the scene. So it just really came into my life. I believe we were supposed to be the educators, because people are even giving up. Other companies are turning to coffee. Oh, we're not selling so much aloe anymore. We're selling coffee. Well, nothing wrong with a little good cup of coffee, but I drink it because I get a little more mental stimulation. Not that I need it, thank God. I understand the body, and you will too. So thank you so much for being on the presentation. Again, I think you'll understand there's a big difference in aloe products. It's the concentrate. And you really just even taking capfuls, which makes it so affordable, and the tablet is available as well for convenience. But to do the renewal, to really help the body build up, as we're talking about, I truly do love the liquid best, because right on contact, it actually helps to degrade Candida albicans, which is really a very life-threatening, detrimental fungus. And then it truly is a carrier. The research is there, the bioavailability of vitamin C and E and protein and B12. Yeah, it becomes much more absorbable. It takes 5 steps to absorb it. And it's so important for this right here. So big difference. Use the best. Excuse me so much. Use the best, and you'll get little sheets like this, which are really nice. It's not a cure. It supports all the systems of the body, the detoxification, the definitely the digestion, and because it has the phytosterols that you can read about on this back sheet of it, and a really neat story by a man that had skin cancer all over his arms and legs. He didn't realize he wasn't absorbing at the co-op. I met him and I said, why don't you take the challenge? Why don't you take 2 ounces? Because you're loaded. You got arms and legs and face. And he really didn't expect, but in days he called the office. He goes, oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And I never get tired of hearing that. I'm so happy you didn't give up on me. I really feel better, and you look a lot better too. So again, how does it work? It helps to support the body from head to toe. It truly is the wand of heaven, the plant of immortality, the skin plant, and everything else, friends. Decide, commit, and you will succeed. Okay, I hope we didn't go over too much.
No,
Questions?
that was fantastic, Karen. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Can we take a few questions real quick?
Oh, yes, of course.
Hello, Lily. Yes. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
That was a very nice presentation. I'm so happy that I took this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you were saying in the beginning that gel capsules, are they not good for your body? Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
Especially
wow.
if you're ultra sensitive.
Yeah.
When you're ultra sensitive, it's really significant. So if you can take a week and just pull them out. And then I know that Marlene's has tablets, powders, and liquids too. So just strive to buy the liquids and tablets and then use these, or chew them out. If you have like a fish oil, you can warm it up in your mouth and chew it out. I had a person call on the phone, he was getting to the point where he couldn't walk, and he was a salesman. He had had gut problems, so he was taking all the right supplements, but he didn't know that the gelatin was ultra sensitive for him especially, but it really is one that we don't have to take. Yeah. And he didn't believe me, and he called all the different companies. He goes, do you have gelatin? And they go, no. And he'd come back to me and he goes, no gelatin. And I go, but you got to believe me on this one. So he almost couldn't walk. He was so stubborn because he didn't want to think he had been taken. But it's just that these companies are good companies. They just don't know. They don't know what I know. And for 40 years, I've been wanting to get that out to people, you know? So just experiment and the body will start thriving.
Also, in 2003, I was diagnosed with IBS, but me being like more like, I don't want to take, I don't have any prescriptions so far, thanks God. But I remember the doctor back then, she wanted to give me this pill that I needed to take. I was living in California, and she said, you need to take this pill every day, and then for the rest of your life, and then, but you cannot be under the sun. I'm like, how am I gonna take that? And I live here in California. I said, nah, I'm gonna do my research. So I started doing a research and reading and reading and reading. And I took things away from my diet.
Mm-hmm. What did you
Never-
take? Wheat? You took wheat out?
I took the wheat out. I took the dairy out. I took coconut out. And I never took the pill in my life. And then I went back to a year after to talk to her because she wanted to see how am I doing. And first of all, I lost tons of weight. And then second of all, yeah, she's like, I can still picture her on her, you know, her office. And she say, whoa, oh, I guess you're doing good. I said, yeah, I'm doing good without your pill. And she's like, what are you talking about? So I told her, and she kind of was skeptical about the whole thing. But that was my last time I saw her, and I'm good.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And that's
Thank
where
you.
honestly, number 4 reason of why people die is overdose on pharmaceutical drugs. Yeah. So even though antibiotics can save lives, okay, there's a time and a place to go, okay, I had an infection in my thumb. Oh yeah, it was from a rotten lemon. I was being a scrounge in my garden and it turned black. I got a tetanus. I got an antibiotic shot. He goes, what'd you do? Hit your thumb with a hammer? And I go, no, I think it's an infection. And he laughed. But I think it was. So I'm not going to lose my thumb. So you think, you research, and good for you. Another question, Jenny, do you have a quick question? Jenny, are you still with us? How about Grace? Grace, would you like to ask a quick question? It just doesn't matter what. If you have.
I don't have any questions. I just really appreciate the presentation. I was just diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And I had a miscarriage in November, which caused it to flare up because I'm just learning a lot about autoimmunity and like the different stressors. And it's important to know that like stressors aren't just like, oh, I had a fight with someone. Like gluten is a stressor, you know, on your body, and
Yes.
Dairy can be a stressor. So it's just full circle, like with lifestyle and everything. And yeah, but I appreciate your presentation.
Well, God bless you. Is this Grace or
Yes.
Jenny? Okay,
Grace.
God bless you. You know, again, it's just something that so many women are being diagnosed with Hashimoto's, thyroid malfunction, and essential fats are so important. I love the Nordic Natural line that has the what is it? Is it omega-6 from the berry? What is that one? Can you think, Elizabeth, with me? But they have a beautiful one. Yes, it's been a long day. I know I can't think, but you know, it's omega-9 that they have, and it's from one of the little berries that they include with their fish oils, but it's really exceptionally valuable for hormones, as well as I just love our greens. I just want you to know, whatever you pick to get the nutrition in, because it has kelp in it with the iodine. So it really helps to feed the thyroid. And then talking about toxicity, there's so much fat in the thyroid area, that it holds a lot more toxicity. So again, detoxing right now, and I think you'd really appreciate the book because it really does go through step by step getting ready for pregnancy. And it addresses thyroid, it does, and parathyroid, and we don't think about both glands, but exercise too, but the B complex. I mean, like we talked about, we spent quite a bit of time. So I really am so glad that you were present with us today and shared. Definitely, make sure if you're getting the help, great. I do our health coach too, Coach Sarah Joy, specializes in thyroid. So again, she could also, we're doing some Zooms. You can check out our social media, Aloe Life International, and you can actually hear what she's talking about. So for free, for free. So
Awesome. Thank you.
and you're welcome. And using Aloe Life is so amazing. Yeah, with the detox plus, yeah, she's really loving suggesting it to her actual clients, which is neat because she's been trained. She's really great, and she's a little younger than I am, but it's like health really takes the years off, which is really great. So if you're feeling old, you're going to feel better and better. So, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for hosting Aloe Life. But more than that, the education. The book will give you, there's a section on the essential fats, on probiotics, on B complex, on aloe, just each of the very important core nutrients, and then all of these, a chapter on supplements, chapter 8, and then the food, all about food and really great recipes, low gluten foods. So I applaud you. If you have questions, you can email info@aloelife.com. Yeah, join us. Oh, share it with friends and family too, because don't think they know this. They do not know this, and that's what's fun about getting your own copy. The article is quite nice, and then because it's just really basic, and then the book, which is cool. Don't let it put you off because it's really super easy. It's like a dictionary. You can just make reference and some exercises in the back and such like that. So, yay for health!
Yay for health. Thank you so much, Karen. You are wonderful.
This was fun, really fun to share. Okay, love to all of you. Okay.